God damn it, it's Jimbob. What do you think happened to him?
M16A1, that non-chrome line barrel, died trying to clear it.
God damn it. His wife just had a kid and he was gonna go to college.
Rest in peace, brother. Who do you think did it?
I think they're still here. You hear that? The trees. They're speaking Vietnamese. Contact! The good old M16. What a 60-year-old rifle actually looks like. First developed as the AR-10 by Eugene Stoner for the Armlight Corporation in 1955, and then downsized into the AR-15 by Colt in 1958 to use the new intermediate 5.56mm round, Stoner's design was revolutionary at the time for its use of aluminium alloys, plastic furniture, a pistol grip, and a straight stock at a time when most rifles were made of steel and wood. Following reports of poor performance with the M14 by US advisors facing the AK-47 in the emerging Vietnam War, the US Army chose the AR-15, soon designated as the M16 following the relocation of the charging handle, as a new standard rifle to be sent to troops in Vietnam in 1963. After several revisions and the issuance of cleaning kits due to reliability issues in the wet jungle environment, the improved model was designated as the M16A1, and was formally adopted as the new standard issue rifle of the US Armed Forces in 1969, where newer variants and models of the AR-15 family continue to serve across the world today. Hi, I'm Andrew, and in this week's very special video, we're reviewing the long-awaited Cybergun M16A1 by VFC, one of the most historically significant GBB models we've reviewed so far on this channel. So let's get right into it. On first impressions, the first thing you notice on this gorgeous classic by VFC is its surprisingly light weight for such a lengthy rifle. This is due to its aluminium alloy receiver, just like the real thing. The realism of its materials extends to the plastic furniture on the handguard and stock, which is not the modern high-strength polymer you see on modern guns, but the sort of flimsy and imperfect 60s-era plastic, full of mold lines and flashes for maximum authenticity. Just don't drop it. In addition, this rifle is also jam-packed with authentic Colt markings and details, being fully licensed by Cybergun. Over to the front, and you have a proper manly 20-inch barrel, just as God and Eugene Stoner intended. None of that carbine nonsense over here. The handguard, as mentioned, is a triangular plastic clamshell heat shield with a fixed front sight, a front sling mount, and a dimensionally accurate bayonet mount. Now, how do we know this? Well, we just so happen to have a US Army issued M7 bayonet lying around the studio, and as you can see right up here, it just fits just like a glove. Perfect. Now, speaking of the handguard, and we do come across one of the major downsides of this replica, which is the hop-up placement. Without any gas ports or any external features, this VFC M16A1 has the hop-up located in the traditional base of the barrel, which means having to pry the handguard apart through the insanely stiff retention ring. The hop-up itself is also extremely stiff from our experience, so do take time to adjust the hop before you start a game. Over to the top, and it's the OG carry handle master race with adjustable rear aperture sights in 2 range settings. The carry handle also features a hole in order to attach older Bushnell type optics or genuine third-party rail adapters should you wish. Onto the receiver itself. And you can tell this is an A1 by the fact it doesn't actually have a brass deflector as seen on later models, and has a teardrop shaped forward assist. The fire controls are unsurprisingly non-ambidextrous, with the fire selector and bolt release on the left side and the magazine release on the right, with the fire selector itself having settings for safe, semi, and full auto, before Top Brass felt that GIs were expending a bit too much ammunition in the jungle and introduced a 3-round burst on the A2. The trigger itself is utterly gorgeous, as is typical with VFC guns, with a massive, prominent hammer release that reverberates through the aluminium receiver and a very solid reset as well. Absolutely no complaints here. Now open this baby up and we have fantastically detailed internals in both the bolt carrier group and the trigger box. M16A1 uses the VFC V3 AR gas system, which ensures compatibility with the full library of aftermarket for VFC's extensive AR library. Now the only nitpicky detail I can call out is that the gas exhaust ports on the BCG are just indents and not drilled through. But I'm just really struggling to find any flaw at this point, so it really isn't actually that much of an issue. Over to the rear, and I have the big solid M16 stock with a rear sling mount compatible with USGI slings. On the rear of the stock, we have a hatch leading to a roomier compartment made to store cleaning kits, but can fit a surprisingly amount of gear inside. Naturally, we cannot have an M16A1 without the classic 20-round magazine. This gun comes with a VFC V3 20-round Stanag magazine, compatible with all VFC AR pattern rifles. And now for price. At $490 US, the VFC M16A1 does sit at the higher end price range for GBB rifles, but it's typical for full metal VFC guns with the immense external quality we're used to seeing from this brand. So, the Cybergun M16A1 by VFC looks to be a quality classic rifle that we've all been waiting for years. But how does it shoot? Let's head to the jungle to find out. And now for the Chrono. As usual, we'll be firing 0.2 gram BBs using green gas. Here we are outside for once, and while this certainly isn't Vietnam, it definitely is as humid. Now, what many people don't realize is that towards the end of last year, VFC released a very extremely limited run of the prototype of the M16, known as the M16A1. Now, the very few we had sold out almost instantaneously. And one of those people, you'll never guess, spent his whole salary on it yet again, and that happens to be Anis. So Anis, can you go and tell everybody what the XM16E1 is and how it differs from the A1?
So, the XM16, as the name suggests, is an experimental rifle. X for experimental. I know it's not it should be E, but military. So, this is technically the precursor of the M16A1, and this was issued to combat troops, especially the special ops guys, for trial in Vietnam.
So what have you done with it? How different is it from this A1?
Honestly, not much, Andrew. So all I did was attaching my Bushnell scope onto this, but everything else is pretty much stock. So if you're talking about the difference between the XM16E1 and the M16A1, internally they're about the same, except for the bolt carrier being silver on the E1 and black on the A1. Now, let's go tip to butt, like some YouTube celebrity might say. So first of all, the E1 has a three-prong flash hider setup, unlike the A1, which has a kind of modern birdcage style. Now, the reason behind this is because, well, troops in Vietnam tend to use this to pry open like fence, barbed wire and stuff, and then tend to shoot it, and then they happen to like bend their barrels a bit. So in order to stop them from doing so, they added a bird cage. Now from then on, you will see that the markings are significantly different. Because this is of an early type, it says AR-15 on the receiver over here, while it doesn't say that on the A1 variant. There is way more markings over here. The pins are different. There's some indents on the pins, while the A1 doesn't have that anymore. Finally, for the marking, the proof marking on the E1 is on the receiver side, while the A1 is in the front. The final differences between the E1 and the A1 is the buttstock. Now, they look the same, they look identical on the outside until you flip it to the back. So the E1 has a rubberized back end, while the A1 has a trapdoor. Now, this is the reason because GIs back then were misled to think their M16 were self-cleaning, which it wasn't. So the back door was added for you to add your cleaning kit into your gun.
Wow. thank you very much for that very, very niche amount of knowledge. Fortunately, guys, it was a limited run, so you won't be able to get this. But they're almost identical, so this is your best bet. And now for the accuracy test. I'm out here and we've set off Jimbob about 30 meters away, so go and test this out. Now, I'll be shooting from a prone position, and will be as accurate as possible, but I must note that this being an outdoor range test, we do have a slight bit of wind, so do take into account of that. Anyway, let's get to it. Right. Wow, first of all, I gotta say, recoil is fantastic. You know, it really kicks hard, you really feel it. Trigger as well, I just love it. You know, the reset is crisp, the trigger action is even crisper, and it just shoots straight and everything you'd expect for it. I like the sights as well, especially the two-piece aperture sights. I'm using the, you know, the more accurate one simply because I want to be as accurate as possible. But the battle sights as well do work very well when it comes to engaging targets in close range. So that is really nice. Overall, like, it shoots straight, it shoots hard, you know, it feels fantastic. I mean, this is about as close as you can get to firing a real M16 as anything actually. So I really, really do appreciate it. Accuracy, I can't really tell from this distance right now, especially with the lighting, and the background isn't very sort of dark either. So we'll have to see for ourselves. But overall, I could hear the hits, so it's definitely hitting the target. And yeah, overall, like, you can't go wrong with this. I mean, it's about as good as it gets. And it's fantastic. Ergonomics are a bit dated, obviously. You know, the handguard is this sort of like soft, plasticky sort of 1960s stuff, and the stock is non-adjustable. However, I'm a pretty tall guy, so this full length stock works just fine of me, maybe not for smaller people. I mean, the only downside is the 20 round magazine, but guys in Vietnam probably suffered from that as well, so can't complain here. So yeah, really, really do like it. I mean, that's your classic VFC quality right there. So let's go check it out. All right. Ooh, let's check this out. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then 2 flyers probably went off that way because that's where the wind's going. So yeah, overall, pretty decent. I mean, we've got a bit of a palm-sized target over here, and I aim towards right in the middle over here. Shots were heading down a little low. That's likely due to the height of the bore between the iron sight and the actual muzzle itself. So overall, the groupings are good. The 2 flyers likely hit roundabout over there because that is where the wind is blowing, us being outside for once. So I really can't complain about performance. As mentioned before, the aesthetics and the general feel of the VFC M16A1 is fantastic. Absolutely love it. It feels really authentic. The bolt pull, it feels heavy. You know, you really do feel your shots going down range, and the performance as well speaks for itself. Overall, you really cannot get a better replica of this model of gun anywhere else. I don't even know if any other brands make an M16A1 GBB these days. So this is pretty much your go-to if you want to do some Vietnam era LARP right there. So yeah, very impressed. And you know, without much further ado, let's head back to the studio. And we're back. So it comes as no surprise at this point that the Cybergun M16A1 by VFC is a fantastic piece of kit and well worth the wait for all the retro enthusiasts out there. Externally, you basically don't have a more aesthetically accurate, commercially available replica of the M16A1 on the market than this, with its aluminium receiver, period correct plastic furniture, and authentic markings. Performance is also excellent, with the rifle being accurate and hard-hitting, as well as being a joy to shoot. Overall, we give this an outstanding 5 out of 5 stars. VFC took their time with this one, and it has paid off in spades. So let's hand it over to you guys. What are your thoughts on the Cybergun M16A1 by VFC? Let us know in the comments section below, and for these cool products and many more, visit us at www.redwolfairsoft.com. This is Andrew, out.